Welcome back to another edition of the Gabagools Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff. With me today, as always, the Cuzzo Dan. How we feeling today?
Oh, we're feeling light. We're feeling light. We're feeling right. MLB season is around the corner,
Opening
which
day.
we've been waiting for. How about today? Slight nip in the air. I'll be perfectly honest with you.
Chilly.
40, 45 degrees. Sun is out, thank God. But I just want to throw this in there real quick. Friday, Saturday this week for all you Midwesterners out there, 67 degrees. Break out the shorts.
Yeah, anything over 50 for me, I wear shorts.
I look for excuses to put shorts on as a fellow Chicagoan, if you will.
Yeah,
So yeah, Friday, Saturday might be bringing a pair of shorts to work with me, changing during the day. It's looking we're looking up.
very good, very good. Yeah, you're right. Very chilly out. Had to bring in the garbage cans, and we got rid of an old bookshelf, and that blew over because it was so windy the last couple of days.
Yeah.
But no problem. Garbage men took it, so thank you, garbage men. Long time listeners, as you know.
You don't think about the wind, right? You think about rain, snow, you think about the cold, the hot, the heat, if you will. No one really thinks about the wind, but yeah, it was super windy this past weekend. I had a couple of days where, I had shit flying all over when I'm trying to deliver it, and it's no bueno.
No, definitely not. So one new segment I'm going to throw at you on the fly, and
Oh,
it's called the quick hits. Quick hits,
quick hits.
just some weekly
Hot take.
reviews. Weekly reviews, just real quickly through the week in sports. This is actually 2 weeks old, but first one is going to be NFL segmented. Or an NFL segment. We got Cooper Cup. He signed with the Seahawks on a 3-year deal. Thought that was a little interesting, just given that they already have JSN, who is a slot receiver. Gives them another good, weapon for Sam Darnold. Like the move, though.
Hey, I've been a fan of Cooper Cups for quite a while now, and you can't have too many big time receivers. Cup and Jigba. We'll
Yeah,
see.
and MVS is there too, so he's their downfield guy. So they got rid of Lockett, Geno Smith, DK's with Pittsburgh now. So
And Geno's obviously gone, and they got Darnold. So we'll see. It's a new Seahawks team in 2025.
yep. Next one is the twofer. A long-awaited one. Jamar Chase agreed to the 4-year, $161 million deal, and then T. Higgins also signed the 4-year, $115 deal to stay with the Bengals. So Burrow keeps his best friends.
It's a twofer. Yeah, you got to keep those guys, right? When you can set your quarterback up for success, that's all you can ask for. That's what the Bears are trying to do with protecting Caleb this year. So Chase and Higgins is one of the best tandems we've got in the league.
Yep, agreed. And then the smaller one, but Jordan Mason traded to the Vikings. Nice little 1-2 punch with Aaron Jones for a year. So gotta like that for our boy JJ McCarthy.
Hey, you know what? You've already said JJ is going to be a top 15 quarterback 2 years in a row. So
Yep.
good for Jordan Mason. You're not going to be getting too many carries behind a healthy Aaron Jones, but we'll see how that team shakes out this year.
Yeah. And then last one for the quick hits is the Bulls. Okay. One note. I mean, there was a couple big ones. When I made this was the other day, but this is a big one. So Coby White over his last 11 games, except for the other night, which I think he had similar stats. He's been putting up 30, almost 30 plus, and he almost triple double. Very very close. But incredible stats: 35, 1 rebound, 26, rebound, 4 assists. The guy's just scoring at will. Good to see from my former Tar Heel here, and he's kind of emerged as kind of the new Bulls option. And then the other night, obviously, what is his name, Mattis or Mateus?
Matas, I think. Yeah, tough
Yeah,
to say.
yeah, the new rookie for the Bulls. Him and Giddy, they seem to. I mean, they took out the Lakers, LeBron-less Lakers, but still,
146. The Bulls scored 146. The last couple of years when we had Levine and DeRozan, I don't think we ever scored that many. And sometimes you just have a good night, but 146 points. Holy shit. That move,
incredible.
that move
Oh,
Matas had on Luca was, I mean, it was all
behind the
over
back,
Sports
little
Center.
slam. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
nice. Hopefully
That
that's our
kid's,
new. So a
yeah.
little background too. I know that guy he was projected to be like a number one overall pick in some of the mocks just because of how bad last year's class was. So the Bulls got him at pretty much a discount, which is good for once for the Bulls. Um, not like it means much, but good to see some cohesion, and hopefully Coby White continues on his scoring, being that elite scorer that apparently he is. Um, Last little quick hit too is opening day is Thursday. We obviously have the AL and NL West to break down. We'll keep it quick, just because for time purposes, and we'll touch on the March Madness tournament. Just we'll go through Pacoda projections and some whatever notes you have on it. But the AL West, Texas is projected 89 wins. I think they're going to be, if they're healthy this year, they're going to bounce back, and
That's the thing.
they're not going to have that World Series hangover as a lot of these teams seem to have. And that they were part of it. I mean, they lost a lot of guys, Scherzer, Yates, Andrew Heaney, some of their bullpen guys, and Nathaniel Lau.
I think low.
But they got Evaldi back. Jock Peterson's there now. Jake Berger, who seems to be a man on a mission, he's there. So should be a decent team. So 89 wins, that's a lot in that division. That's a powerhouse division, in my opinion, for at least the top three teams.
Yeah, you know what? This is a division. Last year and this year, tough to pick a winner when you start breaking down the teams. Texas, I like, but yes, the injuries are going to be an issue for this team if anyone's hurt. The starting rotation is the biggest issue for me with Texas. What are you going to get from DeGrom and Tyler Mahle, who both are coming off of, not really pitching at all last year? I like Evaldi. Gray is hurt every year, has good starts, has bad starts. I like Texas, and even Corey Seager. I mean, he's an MVP candidate every year the last couple of years. But, yeah, he's been missing a lot of time too. So that's really the thing for me. Texas has a big Band-Aid wrapped around them. If that Band-Aid holds, they win the division.
They're going to be fun because they're quite young too, with Josh Young, Wyatt Langford, Evan Carter, and then obviously the emergence of Jack Leiter this spring. He's been one of the hottest pitchers, and then Kumar Rocker, if you remember his story, originally got signed by the Mets after the draft, and then didn't pass the physical because of his arm. So he went back to Vanderbilt, re-entered the draft because he refused to sign with the Mets, which who knows now if he would have rather signed with the Mets just based off of their thing. But Texas should be a good team this year for sure.
Yeah, we'll see if those last two young pitchers, Leiter and Rocker, we'll see if they're up this year, and we'll see
they should be up
what
right
they're
away.
able to do.
I think they're going to be up right away.
They might be, and if they are, okay, then let's racers, start your engines. We'll see.
Yep. And next we have Seattle Mariners, 87 wins, also tied with Houston. So we'll go through both those teams real quickly. Seattle's pitching staff is just insane. George Kirby's banged up, but I mean, you're relying on Castillo, Gilbert, Bryce Miller, Brian Wu. They always seem to get some sort of solid pitching, closing out with Munoz, and then their hitting is kind of Julio Rodriguez and a bunch of guys that are just okay. I mean, you can tell me I'm wrong other than that.
No, you're spot on there. Seattle is I don't want to call them a dark horse. I don't know if I picked them last year. It was either them or Texas. It might have been Texas.
Did. I thought you picked Seattle because of their pitching, because I know you're infatuated with them. So am I, though.
God, that rotation might still be the best in baseball, even without Kirby to start the year if he's starting on the IL. But, yeah, it comes down – the last couple of years has been – they're one of those teams where if they could just get another bat or two in that lineup, this is a team that's a shoo-in. You pick them, they're going to win 95 games. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, they did get, Randy Arozarena last year, but that was pretty much it. Owner doesn't want to spend on him.
I like Randy. I don't love Randy. And, this lineup screams a Pete Alonso type guy. Like, get a Luis Roberts, someone who can hit 30, 40 bombs. Yeah. We'll see, though. I still really like Seattle.
Yep. All right, jumping into Houston, some of their big acquisitions was Christian Walker from Arizona. He's a little banged up at the moment, but when is he not? But when he comes out there, he's a stud at first base, desperately needed. Obviously, they traded for Isaac Paredes and Hayden Wesneski. And then in addition, Cam Smith, the other prospect they got in that Kyle Tucker deal, might get called up right away to the team. I don't know if you saw that. They love what they're seeing out of him. So
yeah, I think he's had a really good spring, and he's been impressing everybody. So, it's him or Paredes, like you said, right? So, Yeah, Houston though, Houston's that team you can't overlook. They don't like to spend a ton. They're calling up some of these younger guys. They're trying to mix and match a little bit. The rotation, Framer, Hunter, you got Blanco, um,
Spencer Arrighetti.
Arrighetti, and then I think Wesneski right now might be rounding out the top five. We'll
Yeah,
see.
since Luis Garcia
So,
got shut down, I just saw that. I had to drop him in Dynasty because I saw that.
you know what though? Hayden's got good stuff. He can go out there and give you 6 or 7 strong. We'll see if he can take the next step. You still have Altuve, who's now moving to the outfield, so that should be an interesting story for the whole year. But still a lot to like with this Astros team, whether you like them or not. Um, Tough for me to pick them to win the division, but I mean, I wouldn't shock me if they won either.
Right, exactly.
You know.
Um, just because of the pedigree that they have, but they did move Altuve out to left field too.
Yeah, we'll see how the little man is out there and left. But I mean, when he's out there and he's healthy, he's still one of the better pure hitters we've got in the game. So
100% should be
we'll
nice to
see.
see. Yeah, I think their Pacoda projection is pretty on point with them being at I think 87 wins, tied with Seattle, so made it easy.
Yeah,
Moving across to the West Coast, the Angels or the LA Anaheim Angels, as I still like to call them.
yeah.
They brought in Kikuchi, which was they kind of had a decent free agency. Kikuchi had a really wonderful end of the year. Jorge
Hmm.
Soler has some nice pop.
Hmm.
Kenley Jansen brought in Hendricks, Moncada, Tim
The
Anderson,
professor.
the professor. They like their Chicago players here. They're
Apparently they
forward.
do. Yeah,
They're projected at 74 wins. They're
I
always
think that's high.
contingent. They're always contingent on Mike Trout's health. I think they moved him over to right field to avoid a lot of the injuries. But Zach Nato is going to start off the year. Um, on the IL, Makata's already banged up. Not a real big shocker there. Um, Ben Joyce could throw 110 miles per hour. I'm not even
Yeah.
kidding. It's probably like 105 minimum. Um, you know, could be an interesting team. I don't expect much out of them though.
Let me stop you right there. The Angels are going to be in last place in this division, and you've got a team like Oakland in there, who looked a little bit better last year, and I'm a little higher on Oakland this year than I was last year. Angels, I'm sorry if you're an Angels fan, your owner doesn't know what he's doing. He's tried to sign some people and do whatever he can, but he's also an idiot. I got one note on the Angels, and then we can move on. One of my favorite players for a couple years ago was Anthony Rendon,
Oh
and I
yeah,
think we need to bring him
yes,
up.
yes, we.
2020, he had in 2019 he was an All Star. He got his second Silver Slugger award, and he's a World Series champion. You sign a 7-year, $245 million deal to go where? To the Angels. Okay, the Angels aren't really that great. A couple years ago, they still had Otani and Trout doing their thing. If he misses this year, which I think he just had hip surgery, and they're projecting him to miss the entire year, he will have played in 25% of the games in 6 seasons, including this year. He's also owed $38 million this year and next year, and he's suspected to be released before the end of this year. This was a guy. I don't know if you saw it a couple years ago. He hit a homer from the left side of the plate. I might have been against just a regular position
Was
player
it
pitching.
was against the White Sox?
I mean, there's a good chance it was, but Rendon is uber talented, but unfortunately, you don't root for injuries, but this guy has been injured every single year. I feel for him. And the Angels they didn't get any insurance on the guy. So you're looking at, a good 75 million the next 2 years you owe him. And they're probably going to write that check before the end of the year and say, Anthony, your time here as an Angel has come to an end. So getting back to the Angels, the team's not great. You've got some solid pieces. We'll see what you do, but I have them finishing last.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I do too. And moving into the team that I'm actually kind of intrigued by now that they're out
Yeah.
of Oakland is the Athletics. They went out and signed Severino, which he's up and down. Jeffrey Springs, from Tampa, you never know what you're going to get out of him. Mason Miller's electric out of the bullpen,
Oh,
and some young
God,
hitters.
nasty.
Shea Langoliers originally came out of the Atlanta Braves system. Tyler Soderstrom, he's I don't know if he's homegrown or not, but solid first baseman.
Hmm.
Zach Geloff's hurt.
You got Jacob Wilson, that I'm actually pretty high on. Not a lot of power from the shortstop position, but he's got like a 70 grade contact, and he's hit at every level that he's been at, and for really high averages. High on him. Brent Rooker, one of the better hitters we had in the league last year, and then I think you mentioned Lawrence Butler. Oakland just paid him one of the largest contracts in their club's history. So, there's some nice pieces to like for Oakland. They usually don't pay people, but they've got a chance to finish potentially third in this division if one of those top three teams just doesn't have it this year.
Yep, absolutely. Could be a team to watch for sure. Moving into the team, or not the team, but the NL.
NL. Yep.
Yes. Dodgers projected 104 wins. I think I said that they would likely get 116 at least. But Mookie Betts.
That's a hot take.
Yeah. Did you see that Mookie Betts lost like 25 pounds since before the.
Was he sick?
Yeah, he's been super sick since before they went to Japan. He ended up.
That's no bueno, because you hear about the grueling season from 162. Usually by the end of the year, guys have dropped a few pounds because of, you're playing every day. You lose that much weight to start the year.
Yeah.
No, I thought I might have heard he was sick a couple weeks ago, but I didn't know he lost that much weight.
Yeah, that's why he didn't play in the Cubs Dodgers series in Japan. But
they still beat us both games.
I know, and without Freddie too. But that just
shows
how good they are.
Yeah.
They just brought. I mean, we already talked about how they pretty much signed everyone. I'm not going to go deep into, a lot about the Dodgers because we've spent a lot of time this entire offseason talking about them and their moves. But Blake Snell, Ohtani, Yamamoto, Glasnow, Roki, Tanner Scott's closing it out. Kirby Yates is in that bullpen. Kopech's on the IL, but he'll be back. Evan Phillips, it's really solid. Then you got Will Smith, Freddie Freeman, Tommy Ed, Max Muncy, Mookie Betts with his, new slim fit, Michael Conforto, Andy Pages, and Teoscar Hernandez rounding it out. So going to be a deadly team for sure.
Deep team, a lot of depth, and this is the way they've been for the last few years. And they have so many guys who are injured every year, and they still run away with that division. They're going to be good again. There's not much else to say about them, but this is a very interesting division when you start breaking down the players on some of these other teams, other than Colorado. No offense.
Yeah, jumping into going south, we'll go with the Arizona Diamondbacks. One of my favorite teams to watch.
I like them.
Because, they play late at night. I mean, I liked Christian Walker because the dude just hit dingers all the time, and that's a team that can just put up runs in a hurry. It's something that's just crazy about them. I can't find them I was trying to pull up their depth chart, but I can't find it. But overall, like their pitching staff, you have Eduardo Rodriguez, you have Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly. I'm trying to think. Corbin Burns.
Yeah, yep.
Corbin Burns went there now.
You also have Brandon Pfaadt.
Brandon Pfaadt.
This is a sneaky rotation where a couple of those guys can stay healthy. This could be one of the top 5-6 rotations in the league. You got a solid offense. Gabby Moreno's not a bad catcher behind the plate. You add Josh Naylor when you lost Christian Walker. You might have actually gained something with the year Naylor had last year. Ketel Marte could be the best second baseman in the league. I mean, he's right there. And then your outfield. You've got Corbin Carroll. Gurriel is solid. This is a fun team to watch.
Young too, young bullpen. They did sign Kendall Graveman to kind of help it out too, but
they have a good bullpen.
Yeah, Justin Martinez is going to be a guy that you're going to love watching because he throws like 101, 102.
He's good.
Corbin Carroll, that's being slept on because he had such a horrible year because of his shoulder. He never recovered from that, but should be a sneaky team. I like them to finish second. Their PECOTA projection. What was it? It was 87 wins. I think that's a little high for them personally. I think that's a wild.
That's probably what they've been the last 2 years. And you know what? They made it 2 years ago in the playoffs and they had that great run and they just missed it last year being like the same type of team. This is a team where if they get a couple things to roll their way, I could see this team winning 95 games.
Yeah, on a good day with their pitching staff, absolutely.
Yeah.
Next team, San Diego, kind of a middling team. They're projected 85 wins. I see them kind of being sellers this year, just because it's what's going on there is not working. I don't know if it's a clubhouse. I don't know what it is, but Profar's gone. Kim's gone. Just a weird team. Kind of goes in. Manny Ramirez, or not Manny Ramirez, he is one of my favorites though. Manny Machado is one of my favorite players, even though he picked them over the Sox. Still respect him. Really solid third baseman. Fernando Tatis.
Stud.
Yeah, absolute stud. Hopefully, I want to see him stay healthy. I'd like to see him play 162 just because
Yeah.
he's so exciting to watch.
Oh,
Jackson Merrill, another
that
exciting.
kid was really good. Yeah.
Did he win rookie? No, he didn't win rookie of the year. Skeens did.
Yeah.
Which is not shocking. Xander Bogaerts, sliding over there, just kind of being a middle guy. It's
Hmm.
kind of crazy. Luis Reyes, he's playing first this year or first or second, depending on Cronenworth. Excuse me. Cronenworth, he had a huge year a couple years ago, but it's kind of fallen off. But honestly, the thorn is kind of outside of Dylan Cease and Michael King. It's kind of a hodgepodge of just pitching. You don't really know what you're getting out of them.
Well, you got Darvish over there. I think he's injured right now, so I'm not 100% sure what's up with him. But Cease and King right now going into the year, I mean, that's a very formidable two. If Darvish gets back on track with his health, I mean, he's still great. Pavetta, I think, is solid for a 4 or 5. They've got pieces, but yeah, I mean, that division is just so like you got four legit teams where if any of those teams get really hot, you could see any of those teams. I mean, the Dodgers are going to be picked to win the division, but any of those other three teams could really finish in second, in my opinion.
Yeah, Giants projected 77 wins. They're kind of another hodgepodge team. Pitching is solid with Robbie Ray, Verlander, Webb, Birdsong, and Hicks. Duvall's in the bullpen. You got Ryan Walker closing it out, and then you have Matt Chapman. Willie Adames was their big signing. Jung Hoo Lee, hopefully he stays healthy. Elliot Ramos had a good year, and then they got Yastrzemski too. So we don't know what we're getting out of them, but could be a
Yeah,
team sneaky.
it's another team where the offense I don't love, but they've got a few pieces, especially if Chapman has another good year and if you get a good year out of Adames. And then that Fitzgerald kid looked good last year, so
Yeah.
we'll see what he does this year. The pitching for me is the big thing. If you get Robbie Ray, Verlander, Hicks, if they all stay healthy and pitch well, Logan Webb's been one of the best pitchers we've had in the league the last couple of years. He's an innings eater. They are an interesting team. That's like a dark horse to pick to finish second if they can stay healthy, but I just don't know about San Francisco.
They just have a weird feel this year, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of like all homegrown, but Buster Posey's there now. They have a couple prospects coming up. We'll probably talk about later on other future podcasts. But moving to Colorado to a team that might be equally as bad as the White Sox,
Oh boy.
55 wins.
Could be worse.
I think they might be, to be honest with you. But pitching staff outside of Freeland is pretty bad. Chase Dolander is their prospect, so he should be interesting. But
He looks good.
Michael Toglia looks really good at first base. He's got some nice power. They traded for Tyler Friedman. They traded Nolan Jones yesterday for him. And then their big prospect is Jordan Beck. Or not Jordan Beck, Zach Veen, who actually got sent down yesterday. So I thought that was interesting. But Brendan Doyle should be solid with Chris Bryant.
If Chris Bryant can stay healthy and give you anything close to what he was a couple of years ago, yeah. This is a team, man. You look at this team and you're like, you have one of those. There's not much to say on the Rockies. If you're a fan of Colorado, I'm sorry.
I like them.
I like the team with some of the players that have come through there, but
that's
yeah,
it.
no,
I'm not a fan. Just I like them. I like the colors. Kind of interesting.
and I like Ryan McMahon. He's a solid player too. But yeah, I don't know how this team wins more than 60 games this year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Agreed. All right. Now to jump into the bell of the ball to wrap up the show. The nice 4 days of 48 hours straight of basketball that we just spent and watched. I don't know how much you watched, but I watched way too long of basketball where at one point on Saturday, I'm like, I actually don't want to watch basketball anymore.
Well, after the second round got going on Saturday night and then into yesterday, Sunday, I lost a few of those games, and I got, to be fair, I lost a little interest trying to watch some of these games. But you know what? That's madness. You know
Yep.
what? That's why we love it. That's why it's such a heartbreak. But
And you know
uh,
what? To kind of take away from the what you just said, the madness was actually lack thereof. There was no Cinderellas really, because like McNeese State or whatever they're called, they were kind of projected to win against Clemson. I don't think Clemson was that good of a team this year, but Purdue did business on them. Um, just overall, there was never a big really upset. I mean, because Arkansas had Calipari, and he kind of brought over the rest of his people, so wasn't really shocking that he upset St. John's. But Texas Tech, Arkansas, Kentucky, Tennessee will be fun. Uh, Purdue, Houston looks really good. They look tough. Florida, that was a fun game yesterday. Florida versus
couple of the Florida UConn and then the Houston Gonzaga games. Both of those games, either one of those ones could have lost. UConn, I almost feel like should have won that game. They were winning, I think, most of that game, whether it was a couple points or not. UConn, you feel for them, but again, you just won the last two tournaments, so they'll be back. Gonzaga too. I mean, that game came down to the end, if my memory serves me correct. And yeah, Houston's a good team, but when you're a one seed, that second round matchup gets very interesting. A lot of those one seeds blow out the 16. Then you get to the second round and you play a team like a UConn or a Gonzaga that has really good wins against good teams throughout the year. Definitely deserve to be there. And either one of those games could have went to the eighth seed. They didn't. Some of those ones are still in there. It was supposed to be a chalky year, but
yeah, Auburn's
yeah,
still alive. Duke's still alive. Duke, Arizona should be a fun one to close it out.
Duke, in my opinion, has looked the best through two games so far in this tournament. Someone else said it on ESPN or SportsCenter today. You could disagree with that if you want, but
No,
Duke,
they look good.
I know you're a Tar Heel fan. I I think there's one kid. I don't know if he's hurt or if he's not been playing well, but they were mentioning like one kid. If he gets going or if he comes back, this team's unstoppable. Duke, and John Shire's got a team right now that I picked them to win. I don't see any team stopping them right now.
Agreed. Yep. It's pretty much lock. So glad I put that out there, that future bet out there back when before the season started. But yeah, unfortunately, Carolina lost to Ole Miss, so that was the end of R.J. Davis. So we'll miss him.
Ole Miss has been interesting. They're in the Sweet 16, and I think they've got Chris Beard, who was with Texas Tech a couple years ago.
Problems outside
Sometimes
of the. He's kind of a weird guy. He married his like dead brother's wife. I'm pretty sure.
you know what there's a lot of coaches that have their issues, especially in college. You got Rick Pitino, who's with a new team now, and obviously they just got upset by Arkansas. Yeah, Calipari's a good coach. Didn't got upset a lot with Kentucky. I had St. John's winning that game, and St. John's couldn't hit water if they thought of a boat. If they could have hit a
That was
couple
their
shots,
problem was they just missed shots. I think I said it on our last pod too.
if they had a couple shots, they win this game easy.
Yep.
Good for Arkansas, though. They're a good team. I don't want to take anything away from them, but yeah,
Yep. Should be more fun. Comes back on Thursday, so we'll be ready for that.
I like Michigan State too. I should have taken Michigan State over St. John's. I had
Told
both
ya.
in my Final Four.
Told ya.
Should have taken the Spartans and Tom Izzo, but yeah,
I warned ya.
we're yeah. You know what? You can say it a fourth time if you want.
I warned ya.
Okay, there we go. It's been a good tournament so far though, and I was getting a little sick of watching games the last day or two as well.
Yeah.
But once it comes back next week, then I'll jump right back in.
Yep, absolutely. We'll see you Thursday with that one. So we'll close out there.